Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending another GoDaddy Pro webinar, or if this is your first one, welcome. We're glad to have you. I'm Angela with GoDaddy Pro, and I'm going to be GoDaddy in chat. So if you see GoDaddy in the chat, that's me, not a weird bot. We've got Jonathan Wold and Gareth Allison joining us today from Woocommerce. Hi, guys. I'm going to let them actually tell you more about the topic when I introduce them in a few minutes. And then after their presentation, we're going to have the Q&A where they're going to answer your questions. And in the meantime, you can stay active in chat, talk to each other, talk to us. Like I said, I'll be GoDaddy. And we also have Mike Chorba. He usually joins me here on screen at the beginning. He runs our GoDaddy Pro Twitter handle. He's going to be joining you there in chat as well. So feel free to ask him any questions. He's going to be sharing links throughout the whole presentation so that whenever we mention something or whenever Jonathan or Gareth says something, then he can give you a link directly to that. And then after a few days, we're going to send an email out with the recap and recording. So if you don't have time to watch the whole thing or you just want to see it again, you can watch it there as well. So before we get started, it's time for our traditional shameless plug. Please share your website with us so we can see who we've got here today. I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that.
Angela, I'm curious about how the recap is going to go of this one because we're going to be covering a lot.
You already gave me a lot to recap on the last one, so I don't want to tell you how long it actually took me to write all of that.
That was phenomenal. I appreciated that.
The quotes were the funnest.
I'm only seeing, we got 4 websites in so far.
Yeah, we've got CC Creative Services and dcpartners.solutions, jobhubbub.com.
That's a good one,
jobhubbub.com. I've seen Robert in a few of our webinars.
Hey, Robert.
Snowgums Retreat. I hope I got that right. 21C Digital. SandyEdwards.me. Sandy is with us at GoDaddy as well.
Awesome.
Work in progress from Mealy called Mealy.pro. Nice.
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
What's your rock band site?
I don't have a rock band anymore, unfortunately. But rock and roll lives on. Don't worry. It will never die, apparently.
Awesome. I've seen all the URLs.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do some introductions then. Gareth, let's start with you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As Angela said, my name's Gareth, and I work at Automatic. I work on WooCommerce. I'm the brand, content, social, and email designer. That's a whole lot of words put together, but basically it means I have a hand in most of the marketing stuff that goes out for WooCommerce that you may see online.
Awesome.
Yes, Gareth does such a good job with all that. He doesn't have time for his rock band anymore. I appreciate it.
Jonathan, you want to tell us about yourself as well?
So I'm Jonathan Wold. I'm responsible for the WooCommerce community, our spaces, events, and a lot of the fun things that are happening there. I've been in the world of WordPress for a little over 14 years, and I love it. It's so fun to see things growing. It's great to have the opportunity to talk about WooCommerce, and I'm excited that you guys decided to have us back.
Yeah, we're excited about it too. You want to get started?
Awesome. Let's do that. So I thought it'd be helpful. We do have some lovely little slides. I know you all liked the slides last time. So I thought it would be helpful to just do a quick recap. And here's our lovely photos. You can see that I've gotten a haircut since then. Looking good.
Unfortunately, I still have a fluffy lockdown beard, so
you look fantastic, man. Fantastic. So what I've loved about this series, we're focused on people who are building with WooCommerce for clients, right? This gives us a lot of the work that we do at WooCommerce is to make things easier for merchants. So it's been a lot of fun to have the opportunity to talk with folks who are actually doing this for clients themselves. So we're going to today, like last week, we looked at, let's go back here. Yeah. So last week we talked about WooCommerce at a really high level. So we talked about the principles for e-commerce success. If you haven't seen last week's yet, it's intended to be something that has long-term value to it. We talk about some basic principles. Highly recommend that. Today, we want to take a step down. And for those of you who are newer to Woo, I want to give you a tour take you on a virtual tour, if you will, of the WooCommerce admin. And our hope today is to give you a sense of the different, first help you understand how we think about Woo, and then to give you just a sense of the different parts of WooCommerce. And we want you to walk away with confidence, especially if you're new to this, that you can figure it out and that there's support and resources available. The way that we want to do things today is we're going to spend more time. Let me just shut off my screen off for a moment. We're going to spend more time today just going interactively through the admin. And we have focus areas that we'll talk through, and I'll share those in just a moment. And as we're focusing on a particular area of Woo, if you have questions about that, like jump in. We'd love it. We'd love to answer questions dynamically as we go through the different areas. And as Angela called out, if there are just overall questions, we can get to them at the end. We'd love to just work with you throughout the session to answer questions relative to what we're covering. Since today we're trying to give that kind of tour experience. So the way that we think about Woo, we organize it into 5 focus areas. Let me just share those briefly. We have the what we call manage, which is all about the core experience in Woo. That's what we're going to be starting with in just a few moments. And that's how you manage all things Woo, products, inventory, etc. We have what we call transact, which is how that's all about the money and the order taking in Woo, dealing with payment gateways, etc. We'll touch on that a bit today. We have fulfill, which is the third area, which is all about how you help your clients get what they're selling to the customers, whether that's physical goods or virtual goods. Fulfillment is kind of all about that. Next, we have extend, which is all about how you take what WooCommerce gives you out of the box and go get more out of it and go further with it, adding new functionality to Woo. We're going to talk about some of the possibilities. There's so many things that you can do with Woo, and try to just give you a sense of where you can go. Like Woo out of the box gives you a lot to work with. You're going to get that sense, and we want to also give you a sense of where you can go with Woo from there. Last but not least is grow. We do a lot of thinking here at Woo on how to help merchants grow, get up and running, get started, then go beyond that. So a lot of the work that we do in partnerships and integrations is in that realm of helping people increase store sales and their conversion rates. So our hope today, over the time that we have together, is to guide you through these areas and going to give you a sense of what's possible, and then answer questions as we go along. Did I catch everything, Gareth?
Yeah, it sounded pretty good to me.
Cool. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started with manage. And thanks to Angela, she's put together a fantastic demo site that's running on GoDaddy with the Go theme, with basic WooCommerce installed, a little bit of products in place. And we're going to give you a tour of the basic core experience and focusing on how products and inventory are managed. Gareth, take over and get us started.
All right. So I hope you can see my screen there. Does that look good to you, Jonathan?
Looks good. I think Angela will make it big in just a moment. There we go.
All right. So folks, what you're looking at right now is the WordPress dashboard known as WP Admin, and WooCommerce has been installed. This is kind of after you've gone through the onboarding wizard process, which we'll go through a little bit more next week.
Yes.
And this is known as WooCommerce Admin, which is our powerful dashboard that helps manage and monitor all the key reporting metrics. It basically gives store owners a quick overview of how your store's performing. And the nice thing about this is that it's also pretty customizable as well, because every store is different, right?
It's been fantastic, by the way, for those who are new to Woo. A lot of work recently has gone into improving the dashboards. It's still a work in progress. Each new release brings new improvements, but a lot is happening to make just what a merchant sees when they get up and running. And so when you're building this for your clients, you can customize this. You can help create views that are especially suited for your clients' needs. But a lot of work has been going into just making these dashboards easier to work with. So if you're new, that's something that you may not know, shouldn't have to know, but for those of us who've been in it for a while, it's been great to see the improvements.
Yeah, like Jonathan said, it's a fairly recent addition, but it's coming on in leaps and bounds. And there's so much you can do here to customize it for the people that you're building the site for. I mean, I think there's a ton of different data points. You can export data, you can filter by a whole bunch of different metrics. And what I really like about this is that if you see in the top right here, there's a persistent store management panel. We call this the activity panel, and this is where you can see at a glance what's happening in your store. The inbox will alert you to any pertinent information. You can get a quick update on what's happening with orders in your store. You can also keep track of your stock and reviews. I'm not going to dwell too much on this now because we could do probably a whole webinar on this whole place alone.
Yep.
It really is a powerful point to manage your store. So we're going to get started with probably the most common thing as part of manage the store, which when you're creating, sorry, go ahead.
And I would just add to that too. I think the big thing for you as builders, when you're putting this together for your clients, you can have an increased level of confidence. A lot of the work that's being done on the core product is to make it just easier and easier for your clients to manage things themselves, right? Like the inbox, the orders, that stock, and already there's a lot of great stuff today, but the work is focusing on just streamlining that experience so they have less basic questions for you and you can focus more of your time on helping add new functionality and take things further with them.
Yeah, it really is night and day. It's an incredible experience. So yeah, as I mentioned, one of the first things you probably want to do once WooCommerce is set up and you've chosen your theme, a lot of the things that we covered last week, you're going to want to set up a new product for your customer or for your client, pardon me. So this is the main product view in WooCommerce admin. And as you can see here, we've got a couple of default ones set up. At a glance, you can see the SKUs. You can see whether the product is in stock or not, the price, and then other details such as categories and tags, which we'll go into a little bit more. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to cover simple virtual downloadable products as well as a group product. There are actually a whole bunch of products that you can set up by default with WooCommerce. Simple products are the main products you'll need for most of the time. If you think about any regular store that you go to, you buy a singular item. That's a simple product. You get grouped products, which are a collection of related products. You can still buy them individually or together as a group. Virtual products, as you may have guessed, is a digital product that may be either an actual file, such as a PDF or a music file, or it could be a service. Downloadable products are most definitely downloadable products like a PDF file. And you can also sell things like external products, variable products as well.
Gareth, just real quick, did your screen stick or were you going to load up one of the, oh, sorry, it's moving now. Yeah, cool.
That's just me talking and keeping the screen static. So for the purposes of this first demonstration of a simple product, we're going to go into this delicious sounding Costa Rica coffee. And this is the product, I guess the product edit screen would be a great way of describing it for an existing product. You can see the product name. To the right, you can see that the product is published, it's active. You can see the meta boxes to the side where you would add categories and tags.
What I would just say here too is the good news is if you're already familiar with WordPress, even if you're not, like this feels very similar and comfortable for someone who's used to creating content in WordPress.
Oh, very much so. It's because WooCommerce is built on WordPress, it uses all the core functionality. You're hopefully not going to be intimidated when you enter this screen for the first time. The hero of this section that I'm going to focus on is over here, the product data meta box. And you can see this is where we would set whether a product is a simple product, grouped, or others. And this is also where we'd select whether a product is virtual or downloadable. As you can see, we have fields there to set the price, the tax status, all those kind of good things. So
that virtual product, you alluded to it earlier there, but maybe it might be good. I know a lot of people have questions about this. First, what does it do when you check that box?
So yeah, what's going to happen is we're going to see a couple of extra fields appear. And
looks like the mouse over kind of gave the clue too. Virtual products are intangible and they're not shipped. That's you
can see from the tooltip there. It's kind of a little giveaway. So once a product is virtual and downloadable, you can see here we have a section to add the downloadable file. We actually have a different product here that is a digital product. I think I should just go into that to better display it. This is Brew Guide ebook for coffee. Delicious. You can learn how to make coffee for using a wide variety of devices. So as you can see here, virtual and downloadable are ticked. And we've linked the downloadable file here. So this is what the customer is going to receive via email, a link to download this. We can also set whether the download limit is unlimited or if a customer can only download it once, whether the download link expires, and all of those kind of things. We don't need to worry about inventory here because it is naturally a digital product.
And what's an example? I can think of a couple, but I have an example where you might have a virtual product but not downloadable.
Yeah, that's a good one. For me, a virtual product, it will most likely be a service. It's any product that doesn't require shipping rights. So services definitely fall into that category for me.
It might be like a virtual event. It could be a good example too, like selling access to something.
Exactly. It could be along that, or it could be perhaps you're selling a personal Skype consult or something like that. It's anything that is doesn't require shipping. Like I said, downloadable products often fall into that category as well. But virtual products sometimes don't have downloadable aspects to them as well.
Awesome.
So that is kind of a quick overview in terms of a simple product and a downloadable product. As you can see here at the top, if you want to add a new product, there are a couple of ways you can do it. One is by clicking the Add New button here, which would open up a blank instance of the product editing screen that we saw. And if I go back here, you can also import, whoops, I've gone back one too far. You can also import a CSV list of products. Say you're importing products from a previous website. Perhaps your customer used to use a different e-commerce platform, or they've just exported it from their inventory management system. This is how you would go about adding products there. The most common one you'll find is by adding a new product using this fancy little button over here. Now, the other product that I just want to draw quick attention to is a grouped product. I can set up a little example here. It's called Coffee Me. And you can see here, if we go down to the all-important product data meta box, grouped product has been selected. I filled in my SKU. And this is where you would group several products together as like a bundle if you want to sell a bunch of products individually, but also as a group together. And as you can see here, I've added 2 existing products in our store, and I could add more if I wanted to. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the product on the front end to kind of display what this would look like.
It's one of the things I love too. A lot of people won't realize just how much Woo gives you out of the box. Like when you turn on the virtual product or the downloadable, like it has those pieces built into the interface. It will deliver the link. And this is a great example. So now we're looking at a group product.
Yeah, I mean, this is not using any extensions at all. This is completely core WooCommerce. And as you can see here, I can either choose to buy just the barley coffee, or I can include the Costa Rica coffee as well if I wanted to. I can also, like I said, buy those individually from their own product pages. If you click through here, you can see the product has its own product page as well. And I really like this because it's a great way to sort of incentivize people to maybe, it's almost like an upsell or a cross-sell in a way, which you can still do here in the product edit screen. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we're not going to get to all of that right now.
Touching on the builder experience for the moment, like in my experience, both setting up Woo for clients back in the day and also talking to people who do this, I think one of the things that I just encourage you guys to do as builders is you just go in and familiarize yourself, like experiment, just like we did for this demo here, with the different ways to set up Woo. What'll often be the case, and it'll vary, but often is the case, is that you'll end up doing the initial setup for your clients, and then they're going to manage it oftentimes from there. But I think the big thing is a lot of people, especially if you're new to Woo, it's surprising like how much you can do with Woo out of the box. So one of the best ways is just to get in there, experiment, try a virtual product, try the upsells and the downsells. and just see, it gives you a bigger sense of what's possible. That way, when you're talking to a client about what they want to get done, you have a sense in your mind of all the different possibilities, because when you can take this combination of options, there's a lot that you can do.
There's so much, and we haven't even touched on variable products yet as well, which is another thing that's also part of core WooCommerce. There's no plugins that you need to enable. If you're wondering what is that exactly, it's the best example I could give is say you're selling clothing like t-shirts. Variable product, you would set variables for different colors or sizes or things like that.
Yep.
So I mean that's really powerful right off the bat in terms of the product options available to you and your client. So I just briefly want to touch on stock management before I hand over to Jonathan for the next section. WooCommerce does have basic stock management enabled as part of core. As you can see over there, I have an item that's out of stock. I can see that immediately. Certain, if this coffee, for instance, I've set to have a limited amount. Some do not have a set amount. If you go back into the product editing screen where you can set this is in, again, the product metadata box. It's such a powerful tool here. If you click on inventory, you can see manage stock. I would check this, tick this checkbox. I could enter my stock quantity. You can also allow folks to back order products if they're out of stock, and then set a notification for when the product's getting low for both you and customers to see that availability is limited. And stock management, as you can see, there's under the WooCommerce menu here, under products, and that's available. It's pretty. You can get a bit more granular, but again, I want to remind you, if you go to the main WooCommerce admin dashboard, you can also get stock level notifications here in the activity panel. You can see I've got a notification here to update the stock of my product that's out of stock.
That's fantastic.
So you can see at a glance whether inventory is running low as well. We haven't. I mean, I'd love to get into this I could do a whole hour on this kind of thing, but hopefully that's just a good starting point for you to see the power of the different types of products, how to manage inventory.
As one just little example that I ran into at a meetup a couple of weeks back, one of the things I expected but didn't realize is, like, when you set up product variables, like different sizes, you can easily configure you can set custom photos for each one, right? And most themes will support that, so you can get that little switcher, and you choose a different size, and it'll change the image. I highly just recommend it. There's a lot to learn here, but the way that it's meant to be accessible, it's meant to be used by non-technical folks. So for you as a builder, just get in there as a pro, just experiment with it. And I've even found surprises, and after my years of experience with it, like, oh wow, that just sort of works out of the box. You get a lot of value just built in. So experiment with it.
All right. Do you want to take it away for our next section there, Josh?
Yes.
Stop sharing the screen.
So we've given you just a little bit of a sense of what's possible on the management side of WooCommerce in terms of managing products and inventory. And the takeaway message there is experiment, familiarize yourself with it so you have a sense of what's possible. There's very few situations, in my experience, where a client, like, once you have a sense of what you can do there, clients will say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this, and you'll have the tools available to you. We're not even talking about all the functionality that you can add through extensions. Woo just out of the box gives you a lot, and you want to take the time to familiarize yourself with it. And a good way to do that is setting up your own store and just experimenting with things.
Yeah, I see we've got a couple questions coming in there as well.
What do we have so far?
So the first question here, I think it's from Gabriel. Hey, Gabriel. It says, will we be able to customize the WordPress dashboard to have the WooCommerce dashboard as the main dashboard?
The
short answer is yes, but if you're wanting to combine content with commerce, I would advise against that, because you would to make WooCommerce the main dashboard, I'm imagining you probably need to hide some of the other menu items. Is that a correct assumption, Jonathan?
So in current state, that's plugin territory. There are plugins. I can't recall the names offhand. There are plugins that can let, like, if your store is primarily used for, if the WordPress instance is primarily used for WooCommerce, you might hide some of the other things, or you might create the special, like the store manager role and hide things that aren't relative to the store manager.
Exactly.
That there are things that we are experimenting with, but right now it is all plugin territory.
Yeah, and then Orlando says, are there pre-made CSV templates for product uploading? And the answer is yes. We do have some starter data, some placeholder CSV import data available. I will make sure we link to this in the chat shortly. I'll get that link to you. Basically, it adds a couple of dummy products and order states that you can familiarize yourself with and start playing around with.
I just dropped a link in chat to our documentation that has a link to the sample file, and it's got a bunch of details on how the importer works.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. So there you go. Hope that helps, Orlando.
Awesome. Any other questions about products before we move on? And if we miss it, you can ask back again at the end. Andy wants to know if WooCommerce works on multi-site. I guess that's not a product question. Yes, WooCommerce works on multi-site. There are details.
Yes, it does.
But yes. Awesome. Let's move on. We're at 27 minutes and we've only covered one focus area, which is a huge surprise to us. So,
and we could have gone on forever on that one. It was very, very quick in my opinion. But yeah, let's keep going.
So the next area of Woo is dealing with money. We call that like transactions. So I'm going to share my screen for just a few moments. We're going to breeze through this one. So get ready, Gareth. Get ready.
Okay.
All right. So a couple things. We just launched Woocommerce Payments last week. The previous week, it's all kind of blurring together for me now. This is US only for the moment, but something we're very excited about. There's a lot of payment gateways that you can use that you can help your clients set up with. And our plan is to get into a more detailed demonstration of how this all works next week. But in the meantime, what I wanted to give you a quick preview of is, so in the demo environment that we have set up, we don't have the WooCommerce Payments set up, but on my daughter's site, she has artwork that she sells online. No sales yet, but when you install WooCommerce Payments, it gives you this dedicated payments area that for now is just for the WooCommerce Payments gateway, but over time is going to be something we expand to be the home for all payments. And this lets you see the money in, this lets you see transactions. This also gives you an interface directly in WooCommerce to manage disputes. And the idea is that we're taking the very important dealing with money in Woo and bringing it directly into the admin area. There's a lot of great payment gateways out there, and just dealing with that flow and managing it can be kind of intimidating for store owners. So our aim here is to bring those things in and make it a lot easier for you to set it up for your clients and empower them to take care of the money side of the business. Any questions? Because there's more we could say. I think the other thing that I would just add is one of the great things about WooCommerce, especially if you're outside of the US, there is a lot of fantastic payment gateway support. You can find these in the Woocommerce Marketplace. Most major payment gateways at this point have excellent WooCommerce support. So there's a lot of options there. And I think for you as a builder, as a professional, the key is just to familiarize yourself with the options and what's available. And that puts you in a really good spot to be able to guide your clients towards solutions. And I'll also say, calling out our bias, we really love what we're doing with WooCommerce Payments. I think it's a great solution, especially for folks who are new and getting something up and running. We were optimizing the work there to make it just a simple flow that brings more and more of the that management capability directly into the admin.
Yeah, it's all about the ease of use with WooCommerce Payments, isn't it, Jonathan? It's you don't have to log into a separate payment processor. You can see things almost like with similar to WooCommerce Admin, right? You can see all the important information at a glance when it comes to payments.
Yes, exactly. And Crowdcast, where did you go? There we are. Perfect. So I think that's all really wanted to touch on with transactions. Unless anyone has any questions about payments and how does that all work? No questions yet. If you have them, you can bring them at the end. Let's jump over to fulfillment.
Yeah. So let me share my screen here again quickly. I'll try to go a little faster as well. I hope you can all see that.
Man, we're good.
So fulfillment, shipping, you want to be able to deliver goods, both physical and digital, to your customers. So when it comes to WooCommerce Core, there's a couple of built-in fulfillment options. Naturally, in relation to physical products, you'll have flat rate shipping, free shipping. Woohoo! Who doesn't love free shipping, right? And then also local pickup. So
I'll tell you who doesn't love free shipping: the merchant paying for it.
Yeah. So more than likely, if you're setting up flat rate shipping as a sort of default, you'll need to add a shipping zone. So I'm in the WooCommerce menu item here. Under settings, you'll see a shipping tab. And then you'd add a shipping zone for your flat rate shipping. For instance, let's say you're in the United States. You want to offer free shipping. We'll add a flat rate. And then you say, yes, I want a flat rate for that. I've done that already. Or you could offer a different one. Say you want to ship to a different country.
Oh, there we are. I was going to say. Now it's on the big screen. Good. You can see better.
Oh, sorry. Were we?
No, you were perfect. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah. So, for instance, I would, because I'm in Ireland right now, what I would do is, if my store was based in Ireland, I would set one flat rate for Ireland, where it would offer free shipping, and then set my other shipping zone to the rest of the world, and set a price based on whoever my carrier is. There's a bunch of different factors that go into that, right? It's speed, weight limits, insurance, all that kind of stuff. So flat rate shipping is really the quickest and simplest method. And you can also set that up to be specific to every single product in your store, or on a per product basis, really.
I just wanted to add here, as when you're doing this for your clients, like shipping is another area that can be pretty quickly intimidating. And what Woo does great is it gives you a lot of options and flexibility, both out of the box and through extensions. So this is another area where it's worth spending a little bit of time as a pro, going through and just familiarizing yourself with what's possible. This is an area, just in my experience, talking with builders, and both back when I did WooCommerce setups myself, this is an area that can be kind of overwhelming, because there's so many things to process. And if people are newer merchants, this is an area that they may not have had that much experience with. So Woo gives you a lot. It can be a little overwhelming. And one of the things that you can do as a pro is being familiar with it, so that you can coach your clients through what's possible.
Yeah, I mean, let's not sugarcoat it or gloss over it either. Shipping can be a complicated process. There's a bunch of different things to consider. So I think if you really take your time to get this right, it can be really, really powerful when it goes forward, as the store scales, as it grows as well. So the second option that I want to cover that comes, I've got two flat rates there. Let's add a different shipping method. So there's flat rate that I spoke about. There's free shipping. There's also local pickup, and that's especially relevant at the moment, I feel, in terms of current world events. Local pickup has become a pretty popular and necessary option for a lot of businesses, and that is an option that comes default here, as you can see. So you could set that up as a specific shipping zone. Maybe it's the neighborhood that your customer's restaurant is in, or business. That's another option that you can set. And again, the third one is free shipping. If we add that over there, obviously you would add a shipping method to different shipping zones here. I haven't enabled a whole bunch of them. Or in certain situations, you can also enable them on one shipping zone. Shipping classes, you can see, is another one of these options here. And I just want to touch on shipping classes very briefly. And that, so you can use these for groups of products, or products that are similar to each other.
Gareth, I want to just jump in real quick. Andrew is asking about how can you create a click and collect option as opposed to local pickup. And if I'm understanding correctly there, is giving people the option to pay and then get it from any number of places, right? I guess there's more complexity there. And what
would that, because to my mind, click and collect and local pickup are kind of the same. Would it be that the customer pays when they collect instead of paying online when they place the order?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So Andrew, it's a good question to clarify. What I wanted to add though is that local pickup, like what you just showed us out of the box is great and pretty basic. There is an extension. There's a number of different approaches, but Skyverge makes an extension called Local Pickup Plus that expands that default capability and adds a bunch of additional. So it's a good example of where what we do in Woo is provide some basic capability that's going to work, especially for people just getting started. But if it's not enough, it's excellent extension territory that can add new functionality and take it further.
What that plugin does really well, Local Pickup Plus, is that it's great for stores that don't only have one location. So you can set up local pickup for multiple locations or distribution centers or pickup sites. And just to close off that question, if it is an option of you want to use click and collect in terms of they place the order online for local pickup, but they only pay when they collect the item in person, you can do that with core WooCommerce. What you would do, to my mind, was you would in the shipping zone select local pickup as an option, and then also cash on delivery as a payment option, so they can then still check out their order online without entering payment. So that would probably be a pretty robust solution if you don't want to go the extension route, or extension route, as the Americans say.
Awesome. Thank you for that. and I think to me, it's also just worth reiterating, especially for folks who are new to this. Like Woo, it's extremely powerful. There's so much that it gives you. For me, in my success as a Woo developer back in the day, I think that a key value is just being curious and letting my curiosity take me into like just the different. How does this work? How does this work? Even if it didn't seem directly applicable, because it's like a toolbox full of fantastic tools that may not be obvious at first. Like local pickup may not seem like an obvious thing, but you never know when you're going to come into a situation where a client may need exactly that, or may not even know what they need. But if you familiarize yourself with the tool, you can be in a great spot to say, actually, you know what? There's an approach we can take for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a great testament, like I said, with situations the way they are around the world right now. This has been a part of WooCommerce for ages, and it's really getting a more of a spotlight shone on it right now. It's really great to see in terms of that. But yeah, as I mentioned, you can even set up shipping classes for products. Maybe they're pretty heavy products, bulky items. That's kind of what the shipping classes are that are over there. And shipping options, which is the other link there. It's kind of obvious, I suppose, from the screen here. It's kind of what you would display to a shopper on the front end. You could hide the shipping costs until they enter an address. The billing, you could default to the billing address or shipping address. And then if you're a developer as well, you can enable debug mode, pretty standard stuff over there. So again, shipping is such a complex topic. We could talk about this for ages.
Yeah, and really it's that idea of fulfillment as well. Like how do you just get things to people, whether it's physical or digital? But
yeah,
Woo gives you a lot out of the box. Anyone have any questions about shipping and how to set that up for clients so far, or things you want to know? I'll give you just a moment to think about that, see if anything jumps to mind. We're going to be talking about extending Woo next. We just gave an example. Local pickup gives you great sort of out-of-the-box capability. And if you need to take that further, there are extensions that you can use to add a whole new realm of functionality to it.
And actually kind of playing on that as well, on the topic of both shipping, on the topic of fulfillment and extending, Jonathan, I think we'd be remiss in not mentioning WooCommerce Shipping as well, which is an extension. Yes. It's a free extension available to folks in the US. And what that does is it connects to USPS, and it allows you to print shipping labels from within your Woocommerce dashboard in here, where we are right now. And you can make it to a pickup from USPS.
We may get to a demo of that next week. I've helped local folks.
I think we should.
and it's great. A lot of people don't know that it's there. And again, US only for the moment, but it's a great example of, you could, one of the things that's important to us with Woo is like, you can use what you'd like to. We want to make sure that we create great options as well. And WooCommerce Shipping is a good example of a bit of an unsung hero. A lot of people don't know it's there, but it's a great way to being able to manage and just manage your orders and fulfill them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me take over the controls here.
All right, I'll stop sharing my screen.
So extending WooCommerce. So this is where the real magic comes in. Like, we put a lot of work. Well, that's not fair to say. WooCommerce out of the box is magical. It does all these fantastic things for you. And we want to give as much as possible to give. We like to think of it as like a happy path for merchants, right? We want people who can get up and running and have success with Woo, get to that point of building traction. And then from there, there's an entire ecosystem of new capabilities available to you through extensions. So let's, what I want to do today is try to just give you a whirlwind tour of the marketplace. And there are all sorts of, let me just pull up the route here. Angela, can I get a big screen on this? Perfect. Thank you. So the WooCommerce Marketplace. So these are extensions that we've vetted. That there's both free ones and paid ones here. Some of these we develop. A lot of them are developed by third parties, and there's a lot of great options here. And I think the heart of it, before I go any further, I just want to encourage you to take time and explore the marketplace. There's so many amazing things here. So a couple of common examples. Let's just take a few moments to go through the categories. First, you have extensions that are developed by Woo. There's a lot to cover there. So let's just jump over to, let me jump over to product type. And these are some examples of popular extensions. WooCommerce Bookings gives you a whole suite of booking functionality. So if you're working with a client who has a service business, Bookings can be a great way to help facilitate the scheduling of appointments and integrating that with a payment solution, etc. A lot of good options there. Composite Products lets you do things like product configurations. There's pre-orders, which is pretty self-explanatory. Subscriptions, one of our most popular products, lets you add a whole realm of subscription capability and functionality to WooCommerce, letting people, like common ones today are like recurring like food service subscriptions or everyday essential subscriptions. One of the ones that I think is just a great example of how far you can take Woo is this product vendors extension. The idea here is that you can actually use Woo to create an entire marketplace for where vendors can come in and list their products and sell them there in the store. And this can be a great way for like a local farmer's market, right? Like you can get an installation up and running and configure it. And this can be a great thing to do for your local community. An example of something that's quite full featured and supported. And a lot of people just don't even know that that's possible with Woo.
To interject here, Jonathan, I see there's a question from Craig who asked, what is the best way to create a multi-vendor virtual mall using WooCommerce? And I think that exact product would answer your question, Craig.
Certainly where to start. And I don't know if we have any others. So and it's worth pointing out. So the WooCommerce Marketplace, it's our favorite place. There are also, and we're adding more plugins and extensions all the time. There's also more out there that others can develop independently. You can, of course, make your own plugins as well. It's one of the great things about Woo. So with something like multi-vendors, I'd encourage you to start with what we have in the marketplace. And if that doesn't meet your needs, you can continue to look outside. And that's a good example of a common category of interest. And I love that example because you can basically use Woo as a foundation for a platform that you're creating for others to use and to serve their own clients. Let's see, what are some other that come to mind? So store management. A lot of third-party service providers have excellent integrations that you can use with Woo. QuickBooks has their integration. I believe the HubSpot integration, I think, is live now.
Yep, it's live. That's a great popular one.
Yep. Any others that jump to mind for you, Gareth? Again, my encouragement is just to spend time browsing through there, and many of these represent entire categories of ideas for things that you could do for your clients.
Yeah, those are probably some of the most common ones, as well as like bookings and subscriptions.
Yep.
And
memberships, like another good example of a third-party plugin that adds like membership capability to the site. There's the WooCommerce Shipping that you talked about. That's free, and that's the one that we build and maintain. Shipping to multiple addresses, etc. Excellent. So again, the encouragement there, just take a little bit of time to familiarize yourself with what's possible. One of the most common things that's come up in my experience in the past, and also talking to folks who are building for clients, like people have questions whether they want to do it, whether they end up doing it or not. Of, can I do this? Is it possible? And it's great for you to be able to have a sense of just how much is possible with Woo, both out of the box, which is what we've been focusing on, and through extensions. And there's so many great extensions there. So last but not least, we wanted to touch just for a few moments on the fifth category of Woo, and we think a lot about Grow. HubSpot's a good example of an extension there. But Gareth, anything that you would add or say about just how we think about helping merchants increase sales and conversions?
Yeah, I do have a couple of thoughts. Through an extension, or just mainly through like a general best practice kind of thing?
General best practice, or anything really that you want to say.
Yeah. So
Automate Woo is, I think, one of the things that is maybe worth touching on.
Yeah, Automate Woo is an incredibly powerful extension that enables you. It's mainly email based, and it helps you to send out post purchase follow up emails, automations, anything that sort of contributes to the customer lifecycle and helps you drive growth and conversions that way. It's incredibly powerful. It's one of my favorites. Extensions for WooCommerce, because it does all the hard work for you, right? And it also has functionality. You can also do abandoned carts with it, apart from the follow-up emails. You can send coupons to folks if they've been inactive. You can win them back. It's a really great all-round product, and it works with subscriptions as well. So it plays nicely with a couple of our extensions. I think points and rewards it works with as well. Probably memberships as well.
And it also has the SMS notifications.
Yes, text message notifications, which is super helpful. A lot of countries, text messaging and text messaging marketing is still very big. And
you mentioned the integrations. These are examples of popular integrations for Automate Woo. Yeah. So we are pointing to a specific Automate Woo. We're big fans of it. It's a specific example of a thing that lets you do a whole bunch of things to help your clients like increase store sales and conversion rates. There are other things that you could do as well, but I think this is such a great place to start.
Yeah, it's a great starting point. And if you're not quite sure, where to start really, apart from, the suggestion that we've given you, the Marketing Hub that was recently launched as part of WooCommerce 4.1.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It is if you want me to share that, or if you want to bring it up on your screen there, Jonathan. Perfect. Yeah, so that is the WooCommerce Marketing Hub. So this is going to be our centralized hub for merchants to manage and measure all of their marketing efforts, really, including the automation, like we just mentioned with Automate Woo, even stuff like coupon management and analytics as well. So currently, as a V1, we're using it to recommend just a small selection of extensions and marketing-related content from our blog that'll help you get started. But in the future, we're actually going to be expanding this. This is, like I mentioned, it's going to be a completely centralized hub for marketing. And that's part of our mission to democratize commerce.
And I think the big thing to know as a builder and as a professional here, this is a and if you follow the developer blogs, you can learn more about our plans and intentions for this. Mm-hmm. This is going to become a great central spot where other integrations can come in, and ultimately this comes back to empowering your clients to have access to their insights and relevant information to manage their business. So you as the builder can go in, set up the extensions that they need, get things up and running, and they're going to have these dashboards where they can go in and see what's relevant, what's important, and and if they need more, they can come back to you to, hey, how do I configure this? How do I get what I want in there?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and that ultimately what's happening here. The way that I love to think about like WordPress is like as an operating system, and many folks with WooCommerce, they use it as an operating system for their business. Right. And you as the builder are able to come in and help them get the operating system up and running, get the parts and pieces in place, and then they're going to be using this day in and day out. And what we're trying hard to do with Woo is just get more and more insights and actionable insights and information in the hands of the merchant where they need it and when they need it so that they can grow their business.
Yeah, that's correct. So I encourage you to check out the Marketing Hub a little bit more. I've left a couple of links there in the chat from the announcement, as well as our documentation, if you want to just take a look at where it's going, where it is now, and sort of a couple points about how it's got to this point, how we decided to create it. I'm looking in the questions here if we have any.
So we have about 8 minutes left. Any general questions about setting up Woo for your clients? Mm-hmm. If you got questions, go ahead and put them in chat now.
We did get a question from Christina about tax and destination-based tax. I've left a couple of links for you in response to your question there, Christina, because like shipping, tax is one of those complicated parts of e-commerce that I think we could probably just go on and on about for a long time. And I know in the US it's particularly complex as well. So I encourage you to check out those links. There's a couple of blog posts that we've written. And then we also have some integrations that'll automate the tax process, I think. Avalara and TaxJar, I think, are the two most popular ones that integrate with WooCommerce. I encourage you to check those out.
And more integrations are coming all the time. Excellent. We'll give folks a few moments. I'm excited to see how Angela does the recap for this. So our plan for next week, while you guys are thinking about your questions, is our current plan, we'll see how it actually goes, is to walk through setting up a WooCommerce installation a little bit from start to finish, from the perspective of our imaginary client. And if we were working together, what would that look like to get it up and running for them? And just show a little bit of start to finish. We'll come up with an example. We're working on that. And just to show the process and talk through how we're thinking about the different aspects of the setup process. And again, our hope is to give you as builders just a greater sense of confidence about using Woo for the clients that you serve. It's a fantastic tool. There's so much flexibility and power. It just takes some learning, as anything that's good and worth doing takes.
Yeah. I see we have a payments question here from Douglas. Hi, Douglas. Thanks a lot. It says, support for payments via authorized.net is currently available as an extension from SkyVerge. Any possibility of support for payments through authorized.net to be in the base WooCommerce products? Most likely not at this stage, Douglas. I imagine it will remain as an extension for now. The payment options that we usually include in WooCommerce Core are ones that are most popular for a wide range of merchants. And I think authorized.net, while not necessarily niche, is probably not as required or as supported in a majority of countries. So I would imagine it's probably going to stay as an extension, at least for the near to mid-term.
Yep, that's good.
What are your favorite extensions, Jonathan? Andy's asking.
One of the ones that, I guess I'll first say that in general, I really love what you can just do with WooCommerce out of the box. Like it's great. And then as the business grows, there's all these additional capabilities that you can add. I can't think of a favorite. Automate Woo. I really like. It adds on the growing your business and increasing sales and just creating better customer experiences overall. Automate Woo gives you a lot of capability and potential.
Yeah. Automate Woo has got to be up there for me as well. I think just the sheer power of it. We've even, fun fact, we've even started using it on woocommerce.com as well. It's such a powerful tool. Even if you only use it for, say, the abandoned cart functionality or just for the follow-up email functionality, it's well worth it just for those functions alone, in my opinion.
I'll just give a quick plug for my daughter's side. I was setting up a print-on-demand integration, and we're using a service called Printful, and really happy to see that they have a good WooCommerce plugin. So it was a pretty painless process to get products in WooCommerce integrated with Printful, which is a print-on-demand service. And I think just a great example of a third party recognizing the importance of serving Woo and making things available. And they put together a great little plugin for it. Chorba's mentioning the mobile app. Yes, you can use the mobile app to manage WooCommerce. The WordPress app is also great to manage the content in your WooCommerce installation.
Yeah, and I must say with the mobile app, they're updating it all the time. New functionality is being added. I've seen some of the stuff from the roadmap. It's really becoming a really helpful tool to manage your store on the go. You kind of got your store in your pocket, right? It's incredibly powerful, and it's only going to get better.
Craig's asking a great question. So what are the upper limits of WooCommerce on WordPress? So my background before this, I worked in an enterprise agency, and I think it's a slightly complicated answer, but I'm going to give you the easy take on it, is that there's not an upper limit for WooCommerce. Taking WooCommerce at scale does require a certain level of experience and capability. But I think the key point, and this is going to get a lot better. We're working on having messaging and making this clearer and making it easier for you as builders to convey this to clients. But from our perspective, because we see the gamut of what gets done, we see Woo used at all sorts of levels and scales. And the key point is that it is a platform that the clients that you're serving can have confidence in, that can scale where it needs to go. The reality is that once you start to get into those upper limits, hosting is one of the biggest factors in terms of the ability to handle concurrent number of orders. And there's things that need to be done to optimize how Woo is configured. And those are things that do require a certain higher level of expertise. But I think the important thing for most of you, as if you're starting out or doing smaller stores initially, is that you can have confidence in Woo's ability to scale. You just need to tap into resources available in the community to get insight and the best ways to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my initial take on that. Cool. Maybe time for one more question. Just looking through. So Lori's asking a question about how to explore WooCommerce before we transition from another site.
Yeah, I'd recommend perhaps Lori setting Woo up on a test or demo site first instead of your live site. And if you're using GoDaddy, I believe you will be able to set up a test site pretty easily and tinker around with it without the fear of overwriting anything on your actual live site.
Yeah.
And I'm going to link a guide that we have on woocommerce.com to starting a new store, kind of the first things you should do, what you need to set
awesome.
things up. That might help point you in the right direction of just figuring out the right steps to follow when you're wanting to play around with Woo or set up demo content. Jonathan did link some demo content earlier in the chat as well that may be helpful.
Yeah. And
the main thing is the test site, which I think GoDaddy does have for you, and we do have a promotion on. I think Jonathan.
Yeah, I was going to say kudos to the folks at GoDaddy. They put together a great offer. You get 3 months of WordPress e-commerce, WooCommerce hosting for $1. It can be a great way to get things up and running, and you can click the link there that Andy dropped in chat.
Yeah, and you also get about, I think it's roughly $1,000 worth of premium WooCommerce extensions for free with that as well, which is pretty legit. I think it's 34 extensions. So a bunch of those that we've discussed here today are included in that. I think subscriptions, bookings, memberships, those kind of extensions as well. That's a great place to sort of test Woo out if you're interested.
Last one, AJ is asking what's the best theme for Woo. Very subjective. It depends. The themes that we've referenced and we like the Go theme from GoDaddy. It's free, whether you use GoDaddy hosting or not. It's fantastic. It has a WooCommerce support, and they're adding more support all the time. Storefront theme is free, also great to use. On the community front, I've liked what the folks over at WP Astra are doing with their WooCommerce theme, and we can get into this a bit more next week. Angela, I don't know if you're on. I think that's all. That's all from us. I think they might be able to kick us out, maybe.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, folks, giving us your time, and like we've mentioned repeatedly during this call. I mean, we could deep dive into each of these sections for ages, but hopefully we've given you just a little bit more, of an insight into the back end, what the dashboard looks like, and some of the stuff that you can do with WooCommerce right out of the box, right out of the gate.
Yep. And again, the key from us is we want to give you just a sense of confidence. Like Woo is a great platform. There's a lot to learn, but there's a fantastic community that you're a part of that can help you answer questions and have that confidence. And we hope that we were able to give you just a bit more today. Next week, our plan is to take a bit of a start to finish and walk through setting up Woo for the first time with an imaginary client, and hope you'll tune in, and that should be a lot of fun.
All right. So, same time next week. Thanks so much, folks. Thanks to GoDaddy for having us, and we hope you see you again next Thursday.
All right. Bye for now.